Howard, who's 7th District Councilman Mark Harder's, Chris Howard, yeah, Mark Harder's assistant. And we're going to be talking about Proposition P, which is a sales tax for police. And Chris is a big shot and is on Republican Inside. And he's going to give us some insight on the Missouri Republican chairman, who that would be. So I'd love for you to stick on there with him and ask him some questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Too. All right, let's see here. Christopher Howard.
Hey, what's up? And I am not a big shot.
You are a big shot.
I'm not.
I tell you what, I love your first name, though. Excellent name.
Well,
your parents had good choice in names.
Hey, by the way, I saw you dancing during that little music break. Don't do that, man, when you're live streaming.
You didn't learn it?
Watching on the webcam.
Hey, you know, the crazy thing is there's been like 2 callers or 2 people have called in asking what are some of these songs that are being played. So Jason is rocking the house.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk a little.
Good.
And let me tell people, you know, what you do, who you are, and then let's get into this Prop P and get into who's going to be the next chairman.
Okay, well, like you said, I am the executive assistant to St. Louis County Councilman of the 7th District, Mark Harder, who's also a Republican Lafayette Township committee man, so he's a good guy. We like him.
Right.
And I'm also have been on the Republican State Party Committee for the last 8 years and will be for at least the next 2. And so I generally cause trouble and irritate people and have fun doing it.
You're good at that, too. Just want to throw
well,
a
I learned from the best.
Yeah, right. All right. Proposition P, which, you know, as conservatives, a tax increase is an anathema. We hate them. Why should we be for this one, and what's your boss's position on it?
Well, like anything, it's a mixed bag. So Proposition P, named P because it's for public safety, is a property sales tax in addition to the sales tax that's expected to raise about $80 million a year, half of which will go back to the municipalities proportionate on their population. So I live in Baldwin. Baldwin would get about $1.5 million from this property tax back to their police department. The county then would get roughly another $40 million that would be used for under the guise of public safety. Majority of it going to the police, but it could be used for. So this is kind of a side issue, but one of the big problems that we've had in the county is that the people at Justice Services, the security guards, the prison guards there at the county jail, haven't received any kind of a pay increase in 8 years. And so there's a lot of compression issues. They're underpaid compared to St. Louis City, St. Charles County, for example. And so that some of that money could be used to fund their pay raise.
Let me tell you something in the Post-Dispatch article that completely jumped out at me. And it said the municipalities would be given the latitude to spend the money as needed with the stipulation that it be directed solely toward public safety. We know how that type of stuff works out. Anything is going to be designated public safety in order to use that money, usually.
Well, and that's the problem. You know, the issue here isn't is it a bad idea. The problem is that the bill, which the council approved, which goes to the voters in April, has no provisions. There's no sunset. There's no accountability factor. It's just public safety. You know, so if you trust, I mean, listen, Chief Belmar of the St. Louis County Police is a professional, squared away, tight, conscious gentleman who I have complete confidence in. And I'm sure if you talk to Councilman Harder, he'd say the same thing. But what about what about the next guy?
Right.
And Chief Belmar doesn't really. I mean, he's got a wish list. We had budget hearings all day Wednesday and half the day on Tuesday, and he basically made his case for what he would spend the additional $40 million on. Worthwhile things in high crime areas, two officer cars, which is important. Mm-hmm. Body cameras, dash cams, the storage fees that go with it, all those kind of things. So the issue is how well do you trust your leadership? You know, and not just this year, but 5 years from now or 10 years from now, because this thing is going to go on forever. So the problem is, full intention bill. They can do good things, but there's no built-in oversight.
Right. Tony, you got something?
No, I am glad to hear him say that. I was wondering what are some of the things that they're talking about this money going towards, and if it's going towards things like body cams and dash cams, then that's very encouraging.
Right.
But the what he's pointing out about no oversight, that's concerning. Is there any plan in place to get some, like, how do we get some oversight attached to this?
Well, it's too late now because they've passed it. It'll go to the voters. What you have to, the only way to get oversight now is to go back to, and I can only speak to St. Louis County specifically. So for St. Louis County, if the Prop P passes in April, so you're not going to get the full $80 million that year because the whole first quarter of the year doesn't count. So St. Louis County would probably roughly get $17 million, depending. And so what do you do with the $17 million? And so every appropriation over $25,000 has to come to the council for approval. So that isn't budgeted previously. So if he didn't budget so let's say this passes and he didn't plan on it passing, or he didn't budget in this budget, which they're not, and now he says, I want to spend $10 million on body cams. Well, that contract has to be RFP'd and bid out according to county charter. So there is some accountability, but it's not built into the ordinance.
Right.
These municipalities may or may not have these rules in place. And so it just depends. And remember, it says public safety,
right,
not police, which means it's whatever the leadership, it's whatever the county executive or the mayor of your municipality decides is public safety. Now, they still have to go through the process to get that supported, but that's, in St. Louis County in January, we'll have 3 Republicans instead of 2, but you have to have 4 to pass anything.
All right, you got a hard act to follow here. We had St. Louis Beacon reporter Jason Rosenbaum on, and he broke a little news for us. You're a Republican insider. You're a big shot. You're the man. Give us. I wish you wouldn't say that. It's not true. Give us a little insight on who the next Missouri Republican chairman is going to be.
Unless there's some major shift. The expectation is that Todd Graves, who is the brother of Sam Graves, he's an attorney. He lives in Platte County, Missouri, over on the Kansas City side of the state. I expect that he will be the next chairman of the Missouri Republican Party.
Well, that is very, very interesting. He's a name that I didn't suspect or even think was in the running for. That's a very interesting choice. I got to admit, he wasn't on my radar either. Right. Hey, so what was Jason's big news? What did I miss? It was so important I forgot.
Oh, okay. He was just trying to put the pressure on you.
Yeah, exactly, man. I want you to break some news.
Hey, I don't crack under pressure. Right. He's got to have to find another way to rattle my cage.
There you go. Hey, Chris, I appreciate your time, and please give the good councilman my regards.
Anytime.
Thanks for your time, man.
You're welcome.
And thanks for breaking news. I'll even try to remember it after you hang up.
There you go.
Even after I hang up, it's breaking news. Well, exactly. Listen, it's going to be an interesting challenge. The party has to redefine itself now. Yeah. Now that we're not the insurgent trying to take over statewide offices, and we've won all the statewide offices in this election, the function of the party becomes very different. Right. And it's true for the Democrats. Now they have to completely shift mode as well. So it's going to be an interesting time.
All right. Well, hey, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, and I will see you soon, brother.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks.